Hi guys, you know me. My name is Joe. I'm a guitar collector, inventor, humanitarian, pescatarian, something, blues musician, occasional Instagram influencer. And I'm here at my house for the umpteenth time because I actually live here. This is the Tommy Bolin Les Paul, and it took me 8 years to track it down. And I always been a fan of the late great Tommy Bolin. His work with Deep Purple, and his work with Billy Cobham, especially on the Spectrum record, changed the fusion landscape. I mean, we all still do, you know. Still doing that 45 years later. And I met Tommy's brother in Sioux City, Iowa, about a decade ago. He came to one of my shows, and being a guitar nerd, I asked him about the burst, you know, because I knew Tommy had a 60 Les Paul with the American flag pickguard and a Bigsby, and he goes, "Well, that's David's guitar, and the last I knew of it, it was in Utah. So in November of last year, through an intermediary, I was contacted about the Tommy Bolin Les Paul. And I finally get David on the phone, and I asked him the first question that came to mind. I'm no forensic scientist. I said, David, where are you living? He goes, Joe, I live in Moab, Utah. And I go, ding, 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 ding. Right answer. About 4 weeks of negotiating and some insane behavior later, I ended up getting the guitar. And this is one of those guitars that I call them lifers. I will always cherish this instrument. I love it. Not only because I'm such a fan of Tommy Bolin, it's because of the story. I didn't buy the guitar, I bought the story. And it's about the journey and how you get there. And the first person I texted and sent a picture of this when my friend Rick picked it up. And I sent it to Glenn Hughes. And I said, Glenn, when was the last time you saw this guitar? And he was like, it was a pretty emotional moment because we all had such reverence for Tommy, and he died so tragically young. He was 25 years old, and he was on tour with Jeff Beck and just poised to become the next big guitar hero, and his life was tragically cut short. But it's my job, not only as a collector, but as a player, to keep the legacy going and, you know, make this guitar make music again. It had been dormant for almost 44 years when I got it, and now it's a working guitar. Just played it the other day on stage at the Ryman in front of cardboard cutouts, and the cutouts loved it. Anyway, this is the Tommy Bolin Les Paul. A couple of really cool things about the Tommy Bolin guitar. Now, he never owned this guitar. It was always David's, his tech, or his roadie, as they say. And when Tommy's Gold Top was stolen in the early 70s, David had this guitar, and he bought in Denver in 1966 for $100. And because Tommy was a Strat guy, they said, well, you know, we got to get you one of those tremolo devices like we saw in one of those Telecasters. So they bought a Bigsby. They jammed it on there. They took the original stop tail out, and I have videos of him playing in Zephyr with the original stop tail. And, well, what happens is when you lose the connection between the stop tail and the strings, the entire guitar is grounded to these posts underneath where the studs set into. That's how it's grounded. Unless it's a factory Bigsby guitar, which then it's grounded to over here. Long story and a little geeky. Anyway, the guitar probably buzzed really badly when they took the stop bar off and put the Bigsby on. So what they did is they ran a little ground wire from the pot, the potentiometer, to the Bigsby. And this is keeping the whole thing, this is keeping me from being electrocuted and killed right now. The whole show, my whole life is predicated on this wire. And the other cool thing about it is because Tommy was hanging out with a bunch of Brits, David painted this American flag on the pickguard. This is the original pickguard, and I rarely play it live with the original pickguard because this is folk art and this is indelibly linked to the guitar. So when it comes home and it's off the road, the original pickguard goes back on it. My friend Tony at Pick Guardian made me a replica, so if you see me playing it on stage, it's a replica pickguard because I don't want to chip the paint. You know, it's too cool, you know, and it's not my job to beat this thing up. It's my job to preserve it and play it at the same time. And there's a little thing, everybody goes, what's this word here? It rhymes with duck. And when Tommy was on American Bandstand, one of the segment producers said, hey, this guy's got the word that rhymes with duck on his guitar. Get him out of here. So what they did was, the solution was, now, mind you, we're here in front of high definition cameras, and if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't pick that out. But they were so, you know, cautious about FCC violations that they ended up scratching the first two letters of the word not duck off the pickguard. So it's kind of left that way, and it's really one of the coolest things to just look at and just go, boy, that's a snapshot in time. And to imagine Tommy Bolin on American Bandstand, it's just cool. And I still have the original receipt for the refret. It was done in '73. $50. A lot of money back then. And the headstock's been detached once from the original neck and then glued back on by David. He did all the work, and the repair is really good. A lot of times you find with these working Sunburst Les Pauls, the headstock or the neck has been detached from the original body, and then just, you know, little Elmers, super glue. It's all good. And this thing has a lifetime of music left in it, at least with me. And then somebody else will own it when I'm dead and gone. So there you go. The Tommy Bolin Les Paul. This is a guitar that I've had for a long time, and I call it the bludgeon, because some guitars you can use as weapons. I've actually had to knock a bouncer in the head one time. Just harassing the fans in the front row, and I just gave him a little love tap. Boom. Luckily, there was no litigation. Anyway, and everybody survived. Wow. This guitar I purchased from Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard after margaritas and tacos. Sometimes margaritas elevate your decision-making process, and sometimes they decrease your decision-making process, depending on how you look at things. After margaritas and tacos, sitting on the wall, and I'm just a sucker for a blackguard telly, and I love stuff after it's been modified because everybody goes, oh, too bad. No. Good. Humbucker good. Because some people would have taken this out and restored it, and then it's like, well, it's always going to be humbuckered. What are you hiding? This guitar spoke to me. It's the original finish. I put a lot of mark. This is all me, a lot of me, and I've played hundreds and hundreds of shows on this guitar. And one of the things about Telecasters, if you find the right one, now it doesn't have to be a 1951 like this one is, you know. Like I just want to get all trolly out of it. Boomer, stupid boomer telly. Anyway, the thing about a Telecaster, now it can be made yesterday, it can be made 70 years ago, is if you find the right one, you can rule the world. They, to me, are the most basic of solid body electric guitars, but in a lot of cases the most versatile. And in this case, it's quacky in the middle. This humbucker came out of a set of 3 that went to an SG custom, so it's kind of out of phase to begin with, and it's got a beautiful little quack to it. And then it gets really creamy up the front, and then this lead pickup, this bridge pickup, is the loudest, most dynamic Telecaster pickup I've ever played. And it just has an extra 5%. I don't know where it comes from. It's all made 70 years ago. And it's been refretted, and somehow the 16th fret has gotten spared the wear. Look at this. Many players look down on a 3-saddle bridge. Well, my response is many players look down at me. So why am I any different than this bridge? Here's the thing. Intonation. Important, yes. Critical above the 12th fret, depending on the kind of music you play. Now, if you want to live up here and play bar chords, and you want to just chisel out and put it in Pro Tools and line it all up and auto-tune it to death, and so you get a perfect F sharp, this isn't the bridge for you. When close enough is good enough, 3-saddle bridge. Leo invented this, and who am I to say anything else? I like the 3-saddle bridge. My hand likes the 3-saddle bridge. I'm programmed to that. I'm a stick and rudder guy. I don't like improvements. I like to deal with, I think, some of your best sounds and playing and flaws, you know, come from limitations of the instrument, you know. It doesn't need to be better. It just needs to be. And then you work around that. And that goes for amplification. That goes for frets, guitar strings. You could tweak yourself out of a good thing, and you can overthink yourself out of a good thing. And I try not to do either. I try to keep it really basic and keep in mind that it is a tactile instrument and that your hands are doing the driving, not the equipment. And plus, I just think it looks cool. It looks like Danny Gatton's guitar and Roy Buchanan, and you know, that's what I grew up idolizing and playing. You know, so I'm programmed to this bridge. I even sometimes will play them with the ashtray on it. Albert Collins did great with it because there's a little bit of reverb and symbiotic relationship underneath that you know, that ashtray cover or the bridge cover that you don't get if you take it off. And if you want to cop Albert Collins, put the bridge cover on, you go, that's how he did it, because that's basically how he did it. Here. And for the third time today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm holding what I call the brown thing. And I bought this guitar years ago. And, you know, custom color Gibsons of any sort from the 50s are extraordinarily rare. They did have a custom shop in the sense that they would build you anything. You could order a white 335, a black Les Paul Standard, which I have from 1960. I have it all. Not all, but they did exist. There was no color chart. And in 1955, CMI Music in Chicago, for a trade show, I believe it was NAMM, ordered 5 Les Paul Standards. See, you see me grab a piece of paper. It means real information is about to be exchanged. And my friend Matt Kaler at Gibson Custom Shop sent me this photo of the ledger. They made a Les Paul Standard in nugget gold. This ain't it. Platinum. This ain't it. Samoa beige. This ain't it. Viceroy brown. Could be it. His guess, and I'll yield to a gentleman of superior guitar knowledge. His guess is copper iridescent. So this is the only copper iridescent Les Paul Standard. And it is just an odd color because normally these are associated with gold. And I know a friend of mine, Tom Whitrock, has a black one. And there's, they do exist, but they're extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily hard to find. And nobody really knew what to make of this guitar. And there was speculation, vintage guitar collectors argue? No, never happened. So I know an old guitar when I see one, and I know an old finish when I see one. I said, this was an old finish. There's no way that this thing was ever altered, ever. And it was an employee guitar. Kenneth Peterson was the guy's name. He ended up with it. You know why I know his name? Put his name on the case. Good idea, Ken. And so it's the only one. And it's got the matching brown knobs, or copper iridescent knobs, whatever you want to call it. Factory small fret, and it's nothing but a Les Paul Standard, just painted in a strange, unique color, which I just dig it. And as the collector of me, this is why I do this, because it's all about finding preserved models of standard guitars or finding the odd fellow. And this is part of a series of 5 odd fellows that are still out there. Nugget gold. Those would be difficult to determine if it's just a standard gold top or not. Platinum, maybe. Maybe it's the Harry Winston model. Samoan beige. I don't even know what a Samoan beige is. Viceroy brown. These are not, like Viceroy brown, I could identify because they did make some lap seals like that. And different versions of guitars. Copper iridescent, we're speculating. This could be copper iridescent or Viceroy brown. So for years I called it the brown thing because how to identify? Like, well, you saw that old Standard? It's brown. I go, yeah, the brown thing. It's just in the vault. So, very rare guitar, and a decent sounding instrument. But most of the reason why we're holding this is because of the rarity, and this little shot of the ledger book. See, how fun.